Did you know that Pope Francis once worked as a nightclub bouncer? Or that he turned down a palace to live in a guest house? Welcome to Popely Curious, where we unpack the most surprising, unbelievable, and 100% true facts about Pope Francis. Whether you're Catholic, curious, or just here for the wild ride, you're about to see the Pope like never before. Fact 1. Did you know that Pope Francis was a nightclub bouncer? Yes, before becoming the spiritual leader of 1.3 billion Catholics, Pope Francis worked as a nightclub bouncer in Buenos Aires. It's hard to picture now, but young Jorge Bergoglio once stood at club doors, keeping the peace. He later said the experience helped him better understand people from all walks of life. It's just one of many humble beginnings that shaped his approach to mercy and compassion. Fact 2. The only pope from the Southern Hemisphere. Pope Francis holds a unique title, the first pope ever from the Southern Hemisphere. Born and raised in Argentina, his election marked a dramatic shift away from centuries of European papal tradition. It signaled the growing influence of the global South in the Catholic Church and instantly made him a symbol of change. Fact 3. Do you know why Pope Francis chose the name Francis? Upon his election, Jorge Mario Bergoglio chose the name Francis to honor St. Francis. Francis of Assisi, the saint, known for peace, poverty, and protecting the environment. The name was no accident. Pope Francis wanted the world to know. He stood for humility and justice, not power or prestige. It was a bold signal of a new era. Fact 4. Before he was Pope, the life of Jorge Mario Bergoglio. Long before he wore white, Francis was a literature teacher, a janitor, a chemist, and yes, even a tango-loving Argentine. He joined the Jesuit order in his 20s and was eventually exiled within it for political tensions. His life before the papacy was marked by hardship, deep faith, and an ongoing love for the underdog. Fact 5. More things you didn't know about Pope Francis. From taking public transportation in Rome to cooking his own meals, Pope Francis breaks almost every stereotype of papal luxury. He even sneaks out of the Vatican at night to serve the homeless, reportedly in disguise. These surprising habits reflect a man deeply committed to living the gospel, not just preaching it. Fact 6. Pope Francis on climate change. His boldest statements. In 2015, Francis released Laudato Si, a groundbreaking encyclical on climate change. He called Earth our common home and warned of catastrophic consequences if action isn't taken. It was the first time a pope directly addressed climate science, and it positioned the Vatican as a moral force in environmental debates. Fact 7. What Pope Francis really said about LGBTQ plus Catholics. In a famous 2013 quote, Francis asked, "Who am I to judge?" when discussing gay Catholics. It was a moment that shook the Church's conservative core and lit up headlines worldwide. He has since supported same-sex civil unions and repeatedly called for dignity and inclusion. It's not doctrinal change, but it's a major tone shift. Fact 8. Does Pope Francis support married priests? The Pope did not officially change the rule of celibacy, but he had expressed openness to the idea, especially in remote regions lacking clergy. In 2019, he considered exceptions for married men in the Amazon. While no major shift has occurred yet, Francis had clearly cracked open the conversation in ways that would have been unthinkable before. Fact 9. The most controversial moments of Pope Francis's papacy. From sexual abuse reforms to his stance on divorce and remarriage, Pope Francis has stirred heated debates inside the church. Conservatives say he's too progressive. Progressives want him to go further. And yet, through it all, Francis has stayed focused on one word: mercy. But mercy, it seems, can be just as controversial as doctrine. Fact 10. How Pope Francis is reshaped the Catholic Church. Through efforts like the Synod on synodality, Pope Francis tried to make the Church more listening, inclusive, and grassroots driven. He wanted bishops to listen to ordinary Catholics, not just speak to them. Whether this bold experiment succeeded is up for debate, but one thing's clear: he pushed for a church that evolves. Fact 11. Pope Francis versus world leaders. Who listens? Don't underestimate the Pope's global influence. From climate summits to refugee policy, Francis had directly challenged presidents, CEOs, and world leaders. He's called capitalism an economy that kills and urged politicians to build bridges, not walls. He's spiritual, yes, but also deeply political. Fact 12. The Time Pope. Francis addressed the U.S. Congress. In 2015, Pope Francis became the first pope to speak to a joint session of the U.S. Congress. He addressed immigration, poverty, climate change, and social justice, earning standing ovations from both parties. It was a historic moment that reminded America of its moral responsibility on the world stage. Fact 13. Pope Francis and Ukraine. His words on war. Since the invasion of Ukraine, Francis had repeatedly called for peace, condemning violence while also urging diplomacy. He's spoken of the unjust aggression and had offered the Vatican as a mediator. His position hadn't pleased everyone, but he continued to push for dialogue over destruction. Fact 14. How Pope Francis uses social media. Francis is the most online pope in history. With over 50 million Twitter followers across multiple languages, he spreads daily messages of faith, justice, and peace in 280 characters or less. He may not run the account himself, but make no mistake, it's part of his mission to meet people where they are, even digitally. Fact 15. The Pope who washes prisoners' feet. Every Holy Thursday, Pope Francis chooses to wash the feet of people society often forgets: prisoners, refugees, even women and Muslims. This act of radical humility goes beyond ritual. It's a living symbol of his vision: a church that serves the lowest, not the richest. Fact 16. Pope Francis broke. This 600-year papal rule popes have traditionally lived in the luxurious apostolic palace. Francis said no. Instead, he chose a modest guest house inside Vatican City, Casa Santa Marta, where he dines with other residents. It's been centuries since a pope lived this simply. His reason? I need to be around people, not isolated. Fact 17. How Pope Francis changed the way. Popes dress. Forget red Prada shoes or gold-trimmed robes. Francis had become known for his plain white cassock and worn-out black shoes. He ditched elaborate papal fashion in favor of humble attire, making a statement without saying a word. His simplicity is itself a kind of protest. Fact 18. The most humble pope in modern history? From riding in a used Fiat to paying his own hotel bill after being elected pope, Francis had stunned the world with acts of humility. Some call it symbolic. Others see it as revolutionary. Either way, his actions are redefining what it means to be the most powerful man in the church. Fact 19. Pope Francis didn't own a Mercedes. Most popes ride in style, but not Pope Francis. He rode in a used Renault or a modest Ford Focus. He turned down the traditional Mercedes-Benz Pope-mobile, saying he wanted something more in tune with the people. That choice made headlines and sent a strong signal about what kind of pope he was going to be. So, which fact about Pope Francis surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more unexpected truths about history's most powerful spiritual leader, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the tiny bell. Until next time, stay curious, stay blessed, and stay inspired by his life's work.